Welcome to The Right Frame of Mind, a podcast that explores the mental hurdles of a writing career. I'm your host, Adrienne Giordano. In each episode, I talk with an author about a challenge they faced and the mindset shift that got them through. Let's dive into the writer's mind. I'm here with my guest, New York Times bestselling author Virginia Kantra. Virginia is a big believer in the power of stories, the ones we grow up with and the ones we tell ourselves. She has written over 30 novels about strong women, messy families, and the journey to find where you belong. Her books have received numerous awards as well as starred reviews from Publishers Weekly and Booklist and praise in People and USA Today. Welcome to the show, Virginia.
Adrienne, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's so fun to talk to another writer.
Yes, I've had such fun just chatting with all my guests so far. Hearing everybody's journey is so different, and hearing how we all got here and the things that we've been through, the things that we've enjoyed, the things that maybe we didn't enjoy so much. So it's been fun. Do you want to tell everybody a little about you and your journey?
Well, my first book was published in 1998. Which is not only before Book Talk, it was before ebooks.
Yeah.
So
wow. So you've seen all the changes.
it's kind of fun listening, with every generation. So I've been writing over 25 years. As you mentioned, I've written over 30 books. I have 2 Rita Awards. I grew up as a member of Romance Writers of America. My first dozen or so books were published with Harlequin, with Silhouette Intimate Moments, which is a line that doesn't even exist anymore. I've written category romance, romantic suspense. I'm trying to take these in order. Paranormal romance, contemporary romance series, and now most recently I've been writing women's fiction with, as I say, a real emphasis on the stories we grew up with, the stories that formed our voices as writers, and our characters and thinking as women navigating in the world. And so that was something that, as my career gets longer and longer, I'm more and more interested in. So I've been going back to the books that first inspired me that inspired me to become a writer, basically. So Little Women, I did Megan, Jo, and Beth and Amy. The Fairy Tale Life of Dorothy Gale, which is inspired by the Wizard of Oz, but set in Trinity College, Dublin.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's all about, Dorothy's journey to the Emerald City, right? So
I
made it. Now she's a graduate student in the Kansas writing program and ends up on her way to the Emerald Isle after a tornado of a romance gone wrong. So I did that, and the next one to come out is Anne of a Different Island, which is my homage to L.A. Montgomery and the Anne of Green Gables novels.
Wow, so fun. So fun.
I am really enjoying it. And as I say, it's sort of these are books that were very formative for me and helped form my voice and helped really form my thinking about being a writer, because I'm looking back, and in each of the books I've just mentioned, there's at least one character who is a creative of some kind. But I think the way that we navigate that, and I think particularly in Anne of a Different Island, I have young women who write to me, or young women I know, and they came of age during the pandemic.
So
and
hard.
So to a certain extent, there's that fear of missing out. There's that sense
Yeah.
of all the things that they didn't get to do. And so I thought of Anne, who, like Ellen Montgomery, her creator, is a creative, is a writer. And
Yeah.
I thought, what if I made her part of that generation? And they're not only lost in terms of milestones they may have missed out on, but a lot of the letters that I get are about relationships, are
Mm.
about love. They're confused about love, and their timelines seem wrong to them. And so a lot of times they're withdrawing from the risk of intimacy.
Oh,
And so while I didn't intend, and the books are not marketed usually, although they've got these fabulous bright covers. I think they all say novel or women's fiction on the spine or something. But with Anne of a Different Island, it did move more towards the romance. The romance is a significant part of it, partly
yeah.
because, like, who doesn't fall for Gilbert Blythe?
Right. Exactly. Who doesn't love
But
a good little romance sometimes?
but also because that's an important part of her journey, is finding the
Yeah.
confidence to figure out what she really wants,
Yeah.
and someone who will
And
support her being that.
because you started your career in romance, was it fun to kind of dabble in that a little bit again?
Well, I mean, yes, of course it is. I have gone from, I mean, the paranormals, which I guess now you could almost call romantasy, since they have
Yeah.
Selkies and Fae as characters. Some of that was pretty steamy stuff, and I did definitely move more to a general public kind of approach, because, as you can tell from the gorgeous covers behind me and the prominently displayed roads, these are women's journey stories. I mean, like, it's like
Yeah.
you don't get,
Right.
like, see the single female character and the road ahead of her. Um,
Yes.
but I think that my own experience, since I am uh, together with a guy I met New Student Week when I was 17 or 18, I guess, I grew up with a partner.
Yeah.
And I think finding out what you need in a partner and having the courage to put your faith in someone else who has faith in you
Hmm.
can be an important part of your journey. It's not the
Yes.
journey, but but it can be part of the journey. So I don't think in any of my books I've shied away from relationships, all kinds of relationships. I seem to keep going back to mothers and daughters a lot.
Ah, yeah.
Um, but I think that, yeah, I loved going, I loved, and I was slightly taken aback because I didn't think the romantic element was going to be as big a component as it was. And then it was.
And then it was. I love when that
And it
happens.
was.
You get these little like left turns that you're like, "Ooh, where's this going now?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of fun to do all those parts. But when you ask about, tell us about your career, and I say, well, I got published in '98. Think about it. I think at that time people were saying the historical was dead. And then with ebooks, it was like our lives are over. And then
Yep.
with Kindle Unlimited, it's like our lives are over. And now with AI, it's like our lives are
Our
over.
lives are
Um,
over.
Periodically,
We're like
vampires are
cats. We
in.
just keep coming back.
Periodically, vampires are in, vampires are out. The stock market crashes, planes crash into the World Trade Center. We have a pandemic. We have we are doom scrolling on a daily basis, at least at the moment.
Hmm.
Not putting my politics in anybody else's mouth, but I'm really struggling with the result of various elections. And yet you still create.
Yes.
And so that's a perspective that if I'm eager to share, it's that you can keep doing, it's that you can. And that there are times when that's really, really hard. And then you have to be kind to yourself and find the coping strategies or give yourself the grace of a window. I remember after 9/11, I was under deadline and I could not turn away from the TV.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so you said you're in New Jersey, I think?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I live in Chicago now, but my whole family was in New Jersey. You know, my sister-in-law worked at LaGuardia Airport. It was, I mean, I remember that day so vividly, and the phones were down, and there, you know, could not get a hold of anybody, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're sitting there and um, all the names, all the faces, all the stories, all the flyers, you know,
Yeah.
it made anything and I'm trying to solve a murder mystery and it's this small
Right.
town detective thing. He's a police chief. And I'm like, it's like, is it, at one time, I thought that my character's problems were very compelling.
Mhm.
In the aftermath of this shared tragedy, I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's like,
Ah,
these are fictional people with fictional problems. How do I care? It wasn't even just how do I make my reader care. It's how can I care about what I'm
mm,
doing? What
my
it
gosh. Wow.
um, and I actually for a long time. Oh, here, let me show. This is how I coped.
Clipboard handwriting.
This is
Yeah.
so I sat in bed with a mechanical pencil on scrap paper. So it was like, just put down anything. It doesn't have to be perfect because you can't get more ephemeral than it's in pencil on scrap paper. It's like
Yes.
you have permission to make mistakes. You have permission to write garbage. And you're safe in bed and nobody's going to see this. And so
Yes.
that's what I did. Now I no longer write in bed, but I do still write at least every morning. The way I start is mechanical pencil, cut up pieces of scrap paper until I have something that gives me the courage to go down to my computer.
Wow.
And when I go down to my computer and I start to enter those words, that's usually the first edit of the day.
This is fascinating to me because I get all into these building neural pathways and all that. I'm obsessed with how the brain works. So, do you think that the handwriting is it is it just part of your day where it signals your brain like it's go time, we need to go right now? Or is it more just freeing for you to just jot whatever? And if you use it, yay. If not, you just move on.
I think that's a brilliant question. I hadn't actually thought about it, although I should have, because Eileen Dreyer used to talk about she wrote on yellow legal pads because yellow was a color that woke up your brain. So sure, and
Yeah.
writing longhand, I think that's a probably a great strategy. I think for me, it's that the type on my computer screen looks way too much like a finished page.
Gotcha.
And I've heard other writers say when they read their books, they can't go back and read their own work because they read it and all they see are the flaws and they hate it.
Mm.
this is a terrible thing to confess. I should sound like modest and insecure and say,
It's all good.
yeah,
Safe
when I
space.
read my stuff, this is good. I like this. I'm in. Like, when I look at my finished work, I'm like proud of it. When I look at my first attempts at putting things down, and for some reason, it's like, there it is on the computer. It can't be changed. Don't it's like there's a sentence, and also notice the triptych of the imagery, and don't it's like, no, it's done. God knows what we did. I mean, like, I started writing, now this is before 1998. I actually had written a number of young adult fantasies, which I completed about every 3 to 5 years. And I sent off to New York. This was back in the day when young adult fantasy wasn't a thing. Young adult wasn't a thing. There was Peter Beagle was publishing, Margaret Kay. Mickelderry was publishing, like Madeleine L'Engle. And like, these were the people you were competing for slots with. And I would send it off, and I would get back these long, single-spaced, encouraging rejection letters. And so, and dummy me, what would I do? I would go, oh, good, I'm closer. And I would take another 3 to 5 years to write another story, which I then typed, and we mailed them. We didn't
in the box, right? The box, the manuscript box. Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, this is sounding like I also walked 2 miles through the snow uphill
in the snow to get to the post office to mail them.
To my publishers, holding my manuscript box aloft over the floodwaters, something. But this was part of it. And I think so for me, typing on the computer, and thank God for cut and paste and editing and being able to do a universal search and change the name of that minor character, who has the same name as that other minor character. So I'm so grateful for technology, but at the same time, I find the Word document scarily close to a printed page and too intimidating to get started with. So handwriting.
And knowing that that's part of your process, right? And being comfortable with it. Because I think that too, especially for newer writers, that they're still trying to figure out, like, okay, what is the process?
And that's another thing to tell newer writers, in addition to the fact that the market sucks, and it's always sucked, and the world is scary, and it's always been scary, and nobody is buying your story because nobody has ever bought our stories, and no one is going to respect what you do because nobody has ever respected what you do. I mean, these are it's horrible, but it's not new.
Yes.
And so the other thing that I would say is that your process now isn't always going to be your process. When I used to teach writing a lot,
I took one of your workshops at RWA. I don't remember which RWA it was, but I remembered when you and I were going back and forth about you coming on the show, I was trying to think what RWA it was because the room was packed. It was standing room only. I think I got the last seat in the room.
I loved, that was one of the things I really miss, is that opportunity of writers learning from other writers.
Yes.
And I miss the dynamic of teaching. So if anybody listening to this podcast wants a speaker, let me know.
Yep. She's awesome.
Thank you. But one of the things I used to do, when I would do one of the master classes, is I would talk about, everybody talks about the rules of writing. And I would say, there are no rules. There's only, you have to kind of imagine Yoda in the original Star Trek movies, when he goes, try. There is no try. There is
There is
only
no
do
try.
or not do, right? And I think with writing, there is no right or wrong. There is only it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the writers really, the writer and the reader, and eventually the reader, are really the only people who can decide what works in a particular situation, in a particular story, in a particular scene, with a particular character. And that's true not only of all the rules, and I think they have relaxed, but all the rules that we're told as beginning writers. But I think it's also true of our process. I did not start out huddled in bed under the covers with a clipboard and a pencil, but that's what worked for me at that time. One thing I do now when I'm particularly stumped, and before I ran home and put on makeup so we could chat, I was taking my walk and I'm starting a new story, which again is another turn of the wheel, another slight reinvention. And I was talking into my phone. So now what I do is like, how many new layers can I introduce into this? So now I'm making voice notes on my phone, which I then come home and sometimes I write them in pencil on a clipboard.
Yes, love it.
But sometimes I write what I call scene notes or chapter notes or story notes, and that again, it's just that process of giving yourself enough of a hook to hang a story onto. And so before we were chatting, I was walking through the woods going, so is Emma going to end up with Mr. Darcy? What will that do to this story? And then what do I do with Helen? And it's,
Yes.
mhm.
And just allowing it to kind of happen and see where it goes without that mental editor in our little
Right.
brains telling us no, no, no. Well, maybe yes, yes, yes.
And then I get home and I look at it and I type it in and I go, no, no, no.
No, no, no.
I think it's still really useful, all that exercise in green space. And I used to write in the car when I was driving the kids to school, but that's not really, I wouldn't advise that. I would not advise
not
that.
advisable
No.
anymore.
It's
Although
like, no,
you can dictate
no,
into the
no,
phone
no,
way.
no, bad idea. People behind you at the red light will be annoyed, and they're right to be annoyed.
Yes, they're right to be annoyed.
Plus, you got precious cargo. Don't do that. That's not on my list of writing advice or something.
All right, so one final question here. If there's one piece of advice you could share with another author, what would that be?
It's never about the market. It's always about the work. It's funny because I've been dispensing advice and so I thought, oh God, like one piece of advice? I'm so full
Or
of
two.
opinions.
You can give us two or three, whatever.
It's like I've been spouting off opinions about pieces of advice for, this whole lovely conversation. But I think that we're very process focused no, I got that wrong. We're product focused.
Mm-hmm.
So we write the book and then our publisher doesn't publish it or doesn't publish it well, or readers don't review it or they don't review it well, or we get money but we don't get money enough, or we get invitations to speak or write but they're not, it's like we expect stuff to happen for us. Did Netflix pick it up, or not? It's we're looking for our joy in the external things that happen after the work is done. And I think that that's not how most of us started.
Yeah.
I think most of us started because there was joy in the imagining, because there was joy in the work. And I know sometimes at the end of the book, when things finally come together and start to snowball, and I come close to the word counts that my friends and peers rack up on a daily basis, where I'm like, what do you mean you did 7,000 words today? I haven't done 7,000 words in 2 months, whatever it is, but like there's a point near the end of the book, which possibly is a result of deadline panic, where I'm productive, and the words come, and it's like being, not to be blasphemous, God, because it's the act of creation. I feel like Nora Roberts on crack.
Yes, because you did it. By God, you did it.
Because it's there, because I have the vision, and it's on the page, and it's just this feeling of joy. It's addictive, which of course is why I'm still writing.
And being able to celebrate that, right? Because the next part of the journey is oftentimes very hard and completely out of your control. Yeah.
I know there are wonderful people out there who have had glorious careers, who have really smart things to say about marketing your book and understanding the market and book talk and all the things. I don't have any of that. What I have is find the joy in them, because
good advice. Yeah.
That's all I got.
Well, and I think when you enjoy the work, the readers sense that. They know, they get that feeling like, wow, she had a lot of fun with this book. Yeah, readers are smart that way.
And I think also, again, I've sustained a career for over 25 years. If you don't like it, what the heck are you doing?
Good advice. Good advice. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your journey with me. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
I know, we have to do this sometime when we're not being recorded.
Yes, I would love that. I would love that. So listeners, be sure to check out Virginia's books at virginiakantra.com. She can also be found on Instagram and Facebook. I'll put all your links in the show notes, so everybody can grab them there. And thank you for listening to The Right Frame of Mind. The Right Frame of Mind is a member of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. I'll be back soon with another great interview and more tips for managing the mental challenges of a creative career.